If you're like most church leaders, you video every service that you do. And the question you probably have is, now that we have this video, what do we do with it? Do we put it onto YouTube or do we put it onto Facebook? We're going to talk in this conversation about which one is better and which one is the right choice for your church. Let's do this. Well, hey guys, I'm Thomas.
And I'm Ian.
And today we're talking about Facebook video versus YouTube video and which one is better for your church. I think an important conversation. As a caveat before we start, it doesn't have to be either or. Churches can use both and probably should use both YouTube and Facebook. But there are some differences between the two. And I guess we want to unpack some of those a little bit today in this short conversation and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. I think the majority of churches that I come across and talk to on a daily basis, Thomas, they're using both YouTube and Facebook, and as they should, I believe. And like you just said, it's not a either or type thing. But yeah, there are differences and different strategies, and so I think it's good we're digging into this. Hopefully, churches can glean from it.
Yeah, one thing I've realized running our REACHRIGHT channel, I've run church channels many times before too, for both Facebook and YouTube, is that there's a lot you do beyond just uploading the videos, right? If that's kind of what you're thinking and we're just going to upload videos to YouTube, upload them to Facebook, and then do our thing, they're probably about the same that way. You can upload videos. It doesn't take much time. It's pretty easy technically, but like you get what you put into these things here, and having the right strategy for each one, there are some differences. I think that's the question. And we want to unpack which one should a church probably spend most of their time and focus on.
Yeah, because we got to choose our battles in ministry, right? I mean, churches are limited with time and volunteers, and so I think often you gotta just figure out. Yeah, I mean, you could do many things, but maybe figure out one thing to focus a little more on, what's going to be more beneficial. So, well, as we often dig into, Thomas, before we kind of get into strategies and different things, statistics tell a lot, right? So what are we came across some pretty crazy stats for all this. What are they?
Yeah, it's crazy. So this is what floored me, is that every day there are 1 billion hours of video consumed on YouTube every single day.
That's crazy.
Billion hours. And that is 5 billion different videos that are watched on YouTube every day. So 1 billion hours, so it's 5 videos per day, I guess is what it comes down to, that are per user. But it's or 5 videos per hour. But 5 billion videos, 1 billion hours consumed. It's just mind-boggling, and the opportunity is there. The numbers for Facebook are huge too. They average 4 billion video views, so a little bit less on the video views.
Sure.
They're only at about 100 million hours, so 1/10 the number of hours. And that's because the typical, when we say Facebook, we're talking about both Instagram and Facebook. And so most of their video is shorter form or little meme videos, whereas YouTube videos can be hours in length. And
it could be a full-length movie.
It could be a full-length movie. I know every Christmas we put on the fireplace, because we don't have a fireplace here in Hawaii, but we want to feel like it's we're at a fireplace. So there's hundreds of videos that are 24 hours long of a fake fireplace on your TV there, basically.
We do the same thing, but we've been using the Netflix one. I need to use next Christmas. I'll use YouTube. It sounds like more variety. So
as long as you pay for YouTube Premium, I think it's a better choice, because if not, you'll be interrupted with ads in the middle of your present opening, which is probably not a good idea. But Anyway, I was just floored by those stats, and I think it just confirms the value and really the opportunity that's in front of churches on these two channels here.
Yeah, and I think what was interesting too is we had a nice graph and everything, and I don't know if we'll show that or put that in here, but we have kind of a comparison, if you will, between the two with video usage and strategy, from Facebook compared to YouTube. So why don't we dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, I think if we just want to sum it up, and we'll have a link in the description here to the infographic that talks about some of the differences between Facebook and YouTube. But I think that it can be best summed up this way. This is not a hard and fast rule. There's exceptions to this. But if I were to break it down, I'd say that YouTube, its algorithm and the platform its DNA is search, because it's owned by Google, and that's their history, is finding things in search, and that's kind of the way that a lot of video is found on YouTube is through search. Whereas on Facebook, the DNA of that platform is, I guess you could call it virality. Like it's something that is, it's videos that get contagious and shared, and they look much more algorithmically at the videos there, and they give it to people that they think would like it. Now, again, there are exceptions to this. I think YouTube has really pivoted, especially with YouTube Shorts. Just so you know, like if you get onto YouTube, it's not just videos from people you subscribe to that you're going to see. They're going to use the algorithm and virality and which videos are popular and what you've watched in the past to try and influence what you're going to watch in the future. So they do that as well, but you cannot argue at the very core of YouTube is people typing in how to tie a tie. That's the most most searched how-to statement out there is how to tie a tie. But that's one example. But people type how to, or they want to learn more about a topic, and they go to YouTube for that. Whereas Facebook tends to be something that it can also be educational and learning, but in a lot of senses, it's more entertainment in a lot of ways. And that's just, again, YouTube has plenty of entertainment stuff too. These aren't hard and fast rules. But if I had to peg the opportunity for churches, at least, I would say that for the most part, YouTube, the opportunity is in search, and Facebook and Instagram, the opportunity is in virality.
Yeah, that's good. So I mean, knowing the two differences there kind of should give churches some direction on that, on how to use it and what to kind of prioritize there. So, and what else? So we have, videos are searchable. We have, searching for particular videos on Facebook.
Yeah, I think that people do. I mean, you can use Facebook as a search engine, and I've actually seen, if we're going to bring in a third one in TikTok, that is the most widely used search engine now for Gen Z, I've heard. So TikTok is very searched that way too. But yeah, I think that's kind of how we would break it down, those two there. But I guess we probably ought to give people some ideas. So what does this mean for churches? Like, so what should we do differently? We upload our videos to both, but how do we approach, like, what's our strategy on YouTube and how is it different from what we do on Facebook? So I would say for YouTube that you need to realize that search is the DNA. And so every time you upload a video to YouTube for your church, usually this is going to be a sermon video, but it might be other videos that you guys do, or little talking head videos, whatever you guys are creating. You need to keep in mind that as you make it more search engine friendly, you will get more views on these videos. And so one of the obvious things that a mistake I see churches make a lot is the names that you give your sermons, right? So if you give your sermon a clever name, like this week I preached at my church, and it was we're going through the Beatitudes, and it was blessed are those who mourn. Now that would be a great beginning, at least, to a YouTube video on a sermon about blessed are those who mourn, is you want to start it with that title, blessed are those who mourn, because people are very likely to be searching for what is the meaning behind that when Jesus says that, and where does it come from. You probably don't want to just call it blessed are those who mourn. You want to probably add some more impact words to it. So blessed are those who mourn, a deep dive into what it really means. That might be a good YouTube title for something like that. And oftentimes what churches do, they'll instead use kind of a name that plays well to an in-person audience, but it doesn't really work online, because it would be hard if you titled your message in church. A lot of people wouldn't want to just call it blessed are those who mourn, because it doesn't have anything maybe you want to bring your own take to it, so you're going to have something to do with mourning, but I didn't think of anything ahead of time. It'd be mourning is for the birds, maybe, or something like that, and then you're going to spell birds BYRDS, and then use a time to be born, a time to die, those kinds of verses from Song of Solomon, a reference to the band, the Birds. Our Gen Z audience, again, we apologize to you if you don't know who that is or what we're talking about there. But anyway, I think that's what we have the tendency to do, is to focus more on things that are funny or sound good in person. But I think for a searchable database like YouTube, you want to really nail those titles. That's just one example. There's lots of ways to do it, but I think that's something churches should keep in mind when they're coming up with their YouTube uploading strategy.
That's good. And I think what we also uncovered from some of this graph and what we looked into is just that there's a difference in length of video between the two platforms. So talk a little more about that.
Yeah, so obviously people are more likely, and they're probably looking for longer form content on YouTube. And again, that's not to say that the longer the better. I think actually, in a lot of cases, sermons are longer than we would like to be really optimized for a YouTube platform. The average YouTube video is 8 to 9 minutes is kind of the sweet spot. And that's not to say that you could have a 3-minute video that goes gangbusters, and there are hour-long videos that get hundreds of thousands of views. But that's kind of the sweet spot. But you compare that with Facebook, and in general, those videos are much shorter because usually they're in the form of Reels, which are on both Facebook and on Instagram, which are less than 60 seconds for the most part. Sometimes they're as short as 6 seconds, and they can make a really quick impact. So it's the length. I think you can put full length videos on both, but in general, you're going to see better results from those on YouTube.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. And on YouTube, you're always thinking of gaining subscribers, and when I think Facebook, I think likes and people can share stuff, right? So that's probably the strategy as well. The differences in how you do that.
Yeah, I think so. If we were to focus on one strategy for YouTube, it's focusing on search. And then for Facebook, again, it's focusing on virality. And so the way that you do that, and that's not to say that search doesn't matter on Facebook and you want to use good titles still, but what drives that more are likes, number of people, and really the biggest indicator is watch time. So here's the secret is that likes, while they carry a little bit of weight, and comments are great too, and interaction and engagement, the biggest indicator for any video, really on any platform, but especially Facebook and Instagram, is the length of time someone spends watching one of your videos. So if everybody that gets on and watches, they watch your entire sermon, which isn't going to happen. Let me put you at ease. People aren't going to stay there 100% of the time and watch your whole sermon as much as we would want them to. But if Facebook sees a pattern where in this video, people will typically watch for about 3 seconds and say, not interested, and keep scrolling, that's going to be an indicator to Facebook to say, let's show this video less. And then each time it happens, it indicates further that this is not valuable content, at least for our platform, to be showing to lots of people. And only your most hardcore subscribers who are really likely to watch it are the ones that they're going to show it to. So you want to make sure that you focus on that retention, that audience retention side of things. So that's what makes sermons so hard, is that, while you could be the best preacher in the world, you're still going to have down times that aren't really made for kind of this quick scrolling video environment that we live in now. But do anything that you can to increase engagement with things like comments and likes and those kinds of things on there, and you'll start to see a bump in that.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. That's really good. So, and then we saw there's differences between like the types of like video, right? So from informative to funny.
Yep, we definitely did. Yeah, so in general, Facebook will play better with funny videos and memes and those kinds of things, whereas YouTube, certainly on YouTube Shorts, you can run with memes. Those go well. But for full-length YouTube videos, it's just hard to pull that off. And, there's comedians that have whole careers on YouTube. But in a lot of ways, that is more viral content and less search-based, because it's hard to search for, a specific kind of joke that people might be looking for.
Right.
So I think in general, funny plays better on viral channels like a Facebook and Instagram, whereas informative will play better on YouTube.
That's exactly kind of what I search for. That's whenever I'm looking if I look at Reels or Shorts on Facebook, it's funny stuff usually, and then YouTube, I'm researching something, so that makes sense. And then SEO, and let's talk a little bit, I guess, about that. I would think because YouTube is search-based, there'd be an advantage there for sure over Facebook, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that
you think Google, and it goes hand in hand too, right? So
right. Yeah, search is their DNA. So I think for Facebook, there is some value to naming it properly, and there are people that do search on there, but I mean, think about it. I can't think from my own memory where the search box is on a Facebook page. Like, where would I go to search for something on Facebook? It's not something that I do very often. No. I search on Google. A lot of times they'll give me YouTube results on Google when I do a search. And then I do search YouTube all the time for kind of how-to or educational type content. So, I think that's a no-brainer. You can go through the steps to help your Facebook content, your videos there, do well in search, but I wouldn't spend as much time on that as I would on YouTube.
And what's the shelf life, as far as time for each video compared, on each one of them?
Yeah, again, so if we're talking just about full-length videos on YouTube and not YouTube Shorts, because YouTube Shorts is really a clone of TikTok or Instagram Reels, but on YouTube, the shelf life, well, it does certainly peak right at its release and things start to degrade over time. We're talking about years. I mean, one of our most popular videos is a video we shot 3 years ago that still sees dozens of people every single day searching for this, finding it, and actually getting that content. And that's, again, tied to the search DNA, is that as long as people are looking for this answer, your video will still be relevant. Compare that with Facebook, and the shelf life is 48 hours at the most, but really it's about 12 hours of real impact, and then just people that haven't been on the platform in a little bit, they'll start to see it at that point. So yeah, shelf life makes a big difference there.
That is a big difference. Well, last but not least, what about, as far as the options people have to spend money to get these videos out there and more seen, what are the differences between the two platforms there?
Really not much. I think again, it's going to be tied more to the kinds of people that you can reach. And so YouTube, again, optimized for search, you will be able to target people that are searching for things related to your video. So if you did a sermon on blessed are those who mourn, you might want to target certain keywords around mourning that people who would be most impacted by this sermon, they might want to see. And you can pay to do those kinds of things. Whereas Facebook, it is completely demographic tied. So you're not going to be targeting people searching for certain kinds of things, but you'll be targeting more people based on their attributes. So how old they are, what gender they are, if they're Christian or not. These kinds of people are the ones that you can pay money to target on those channels. So yeah, it is a little bit different on how you reach them. And I think for the most part, it's probably, unless you have a real specific strategy, it's not a place I would put a lot of money to promoting your weekly sermons on these platforms. I think that could be different for produced videos that have a very specific target and a specific call to action. Maybe it's a video about getting involved with a donation campaign or a big building campaign you're doing there. That might be something worth promoting to your own audience. But in general, we don't really think that the weekly sermons are something that a church should be promoting, at least not with money.
Yeah, that makes sense. Good stuff.
Yeah, awesome. I hope this has been helpful. If it has, it would mean a lot to us, guys, if you would rate, review, subscribe. Let us know down in the comments. I'd like to hear from you. Which platform is your church seeing better results with? Are you guys seeing a lot of video views on Facebook, or is it more on YouTube? If we had to choose one for churches, we'd probably say that YouTube is worth more of your time right now than Facebook is. But if you're going to be producing short form video, those vertical videos, TikToks and those things, you definitely want to make sure you get those onto Instagram Reels as well as YouTube Shorts and TikTok there. But yeah, we want to know what's working best for your church. Let us know down in the comments, and we'll catch you guys next time.